Hi and welcome to today's session. We're going to be using the Pilates arc or a spine corrector or a barrel. It doesn't matter what you call it. We want this curved surface with the little seat. So hopefully you've got that at home, and let's just enjoy a nice gentle opening stretching session on this lovely piece of apparatus. So to start with, we're just going to sit into a position where your front knee is folded and your top leg is reached out to the side. Just sliding your way down the barrel, going for a nice long opening stretch through the side of the waist. Use your bottom hand to hold onto your top wrist and just give yourself a gentle stretch in this direction. Nice breath in, and then as you breathe out, peeling yourself all the way up again. Make it as effortless as possible, so use the support of the barrel to help you come up and down. And then again, just sliding yourself down and over the edge. And again, stretching, just a gentle clasp onto the wrist as you pull your arm away from your leg, and then bringing yourself up. So as we're pulling through the arm, I want you to also feel like the bottom of the leg was being pulled in the opposite direction, so that you're getting the biggest expansion through the sides of the waist as you can, and bringing yourself all the way up again. So you're welcome to keep that as your option. Otherwise, we're going to make it a little bit more challenging as we lace the two hands behind the back of the head. Bring those elbow tips just slightly forward, and then lay your spine all the way down on the side over the edge, and then peeling yourself up and away from the movement. So remember that your top leg is going to move with you. As you go over to the side, there'll be a gentle sliding of the leg with you, and as you're coming up, allow the leg to move away to get you back into the sitting position. If you don't let the structures move, then you'll find resistance and all sorts of difficulty in doing the movements. Remember that breathing is always very important, and you want your breath to match what you're doing with your movement. So a lot of people get caught up in, should I breathe in, should I breathe out? The point is that you should be breathing constantly to suit what's happening. We're going to come into about a halfway position, so you still have your lower ribs touching but your upper ribs away, and you're going to rotate yourself down towards the arc and then back to the side. And again, looking toward the arc and to the side. We have 3 more of these, really using your foot outstretched as your anchor to get a bit of twist in the upper body. One more time as we twist. And then from there, you're going to lie yourself down. We're going to stretch your top arm on a diagonal line, reaching towards the opposite end of the room. From here, make sure your head is supported as you create a little semicircle, moving backward to look at your hand behind you and then traveling forward. So we call this like a book opening. I like it as a semicircle kind of movement where you're just feeling a little bit of rotation and extension in your spine. And you don't want to go that far back that you're about to fall off the arc. So if you set yourself back further to the edge, then you just want to be mindful that you're not going to tip yourself away as you do your stretchy move. We've got one more time as we go over and around, and then bringing yourself all the way back. Let's let that arm travel up, and then bringing yourself all the way to the top. Obviously, you would switch to the other side. I'm going to flip the arc around just for ease of looking at the camera with you. And we'll start again on the second side. And I have my little assistant come join me again. So remember that you can also cross this knee down toward the floor if that's more comfortable, because sometimes with an outstretched leg, it can get a little jammed up into that hip. So we start with our arms out, lying the body down onto the side. Of course, I need to move my microphone, otherwise I'm going to lie on my microphone. And we go all the way down and stretch. Use that underarm to hold the wrist, lengthening into the side of the body. Big breath in, and then rolling yourself all the way back up to the top. So with these first moves, you know where we're heading with this little series, but you still want to feel very relaxed over the edge, and just feeling the tissue starting to open up. And it's very common, as you know, to feel one side a little bit more, easy to go to. The other side can sometimes feel a little bit different. The tissue structures feel different. The lengthening all depends on how we sort of create our space in the world. From here, we're going to take those hands behind the head. Remember, this is an optional move. And then we're going to go all the way down and over the arc and coming all the way back up. I still have to move my microphone out of the way because it is not participating with me. And then again, over the side, that's way better. And then down and peeling easy up. So this is going to be one of those times where you're now really going to be noticing if it's as easy to come up on the side as it was on the other. For me currently, I'm going to say no. This is my more challenged side for sure. And that's, as I said, very normal to happen in our body, that we have one side a little bit easier than the other. As always, I lose count a little bit, so we're going to say this is our last one, down and up. And then we're going to go into our halfway position. So really just letting that waistline and lower rib be supported, keep a long diagonal and twist towards the arc and away. As you're twisting, you're trying to work in the upper spine. So you're not rolling your hip and your knee with you. You're just working in this upper body, very strong motion. 2 more as we twist. And 1 more. And then from there, we're going to lower down and then peel all the way back up to the top position. So from here, we're just going to take a kneeling shape. So placing the tips of your shin bones just on the edge of the lip of the barrel that you're on. Hands are placed on top. I like them nice and flat, but if you feel like you need to take your hands to the corners, that's also okay. So keeping your toes on the ground for now, we're going to do a shoulder motion. So we're going to do what we call retraction, which is to squeeze the shoulders gently together by dropping the chest. It's very simple. I haven't had to do anything muscularly. Gravity did it for me. And then we're going to push away, called protraction, to really feel those shoulder blades sitting on the rib cage a bit better. And again, lower the chest between the arms and then raise the chest up away from the mat surface. And again, just a nice easy dropping down and pushing up. This is so good for our shoulder health. So making sure that you're not collapsing and squeezing in your neck. This is just movement of your bones behind you, your shoulder blades sliding on the rib cage closer together and sliding away from each other. Now finding a position where you're not overly rounded, but just really well set. From here, we're going to lift the toes away from the ground, so it becomes a balance challenge. Anytime you need to, you can put your toes on the mat. We're going to extend a leg away and an arm opposite side away. So this is not perfect, but it is where you can get it to be, and then bringing them back, and then we'll switch to the other side. So I like to do the first one just as a nice holding position. So where do I need more support? In my upper body, in my lower body, and then bringing it back down. We're going to keep going with that alternating pattern, but we'll use a breath out as you press away and a breath in as you return. I like to just remind people that the movement away is not the only part of the movement. The movement coming back is as necessarily and beautiful and controlled and quiet as the pushing out. And again, reaching long. So you want those limbs again to be in line with each other. It doesn't mean they have to be horizontal, but a diagonal line from fingertips to toe tips. And because your hands are higher than your hips right now, you want to make sure that you're not trying to take your leg up, because if it is, then you're going to dip in your back and you're going to lose all your form. All right, rest the toes down for a moment. Sit yourself back towards your feet just for a little break. This is also good for a nice squat shape. We're going to come up again and we're going to challenge what we did. As always, if you need to, you stay with that last version we did. So now we're going to do same arm, same leg, which is a bit challenging again. So we're going to weight ourselves over onto one side as you bring the opposite arm and leg away from you, and then bringing it down. And again, taking it to the other side. So just focusing on the length of your limbs, focusing on the central body holding you in space as you move those arms and legs away and bringing them back. So as you're leaning over, making your upper body very strong, so that shoulder, whoops, don't touch while you're doing things. The shoulder is staying very firm against the rib cage. That preparation work we did earlier is very important for this movement. So we've got one more time to even us off. Woo. And of course, sometimes it doesn't work as smoothly as you would like it to. And then bringing yourself down. We're going to slide the arc, well, for me, just a little bit further away towards the end of the mat as I come down to lie onto my back, and then just resting my feet on top of the arc surface. So from here, just feeling the alignment of the legs nice and balanced. You don't want to open the knees too broad. And then rolling through the pelvis, lifting the hip up into the air. Remember, if a roll is not the work for you, then just hinge yourself up and down, because all movement with bridging, where we're raising the pelvis up and down, is going to be beneficial for us. Some people are easily able to curl through their spine, others are not. So just do what works for you. And as we're coming up, there's just this lovely feeling of strength from our back body, opening, lengthening through the front body, and then coming down, just enjoying the peace of the mat where it is. So if you'd like to, we're going to add on some movement with the arms. So we're going to press the hips to the ceiling, lengthen the arms over and behind. Keep them just off the mat as you roll your body all the way down, and then return the arms towards your side. We'll do that one more time as we roll the spine away from the ground surface, opening the arms back behind you, nice long line through, and then rolling all the way back towards the mat again and coming down. From here, we're going to bring a leg up into the air, followed by the other, and then take a hold at the back of the thighs. Nod your head forward towards your legs as you bring yourself up into sitting. If that didn't work for you, of course, use the variation to come up, rolling off to your side and then coming to the top. We're going to be sitting with the arc right in the center of the legs. You don't have to go incredibly wide with the legs. It's just a nice opening to have that little tip side facing in. Hands are going to start on the arc surface, and we're going to roll the top of the head forward, reaching the arms over towards the apex of the barrel. Stay here as you take a breath into the back lobes of your lungs, and then breathing out as you roll yourself back up, sliding the hands toward you. And we'll repeat that as we slide forward. There is a relationship of your arms, your shoulder blades, and your spine in terms of movement. And you don't want to be overly doing one or the other, but really to feel it as a symphony of movement as you're going into this curve, which we call a spine stretch. So I haven't collapsed my body forward. I've got a very good broad position of my shoulders again over the back of the rib cage. And as I'm moving from my upper spine. I don't want to collapse and bring my whole weight forward, and I'm not going to roll my body away off of my sit bones. I'm staying grounded on the sit bones as I'm reaching forward towards the lip of the barrel, and then bringing myself all the way back up nice and tall. So from here, nice and easy, we're going to just swing our legs around so we're facing in the opposite direction. So for safety, you can put this against the wall so that it doesn't slip. Otherwise, you're going to see it move a little bit, especially if it's one of these lighter ones. So we'll begin with our knees bent and our arms stretched out. You do have the option also to take hands behind the head if your neck is not feeling great. From here, we're just going to ease the back over the arc. As you roll yourself over, send the arms behind you, and then raise the arms straight up towards the ceiling, nod the head forward, and curl yourself back up into sitting. So we want to peel down onto the arc nice and easy. When we do it this way, it always feels simple. When we're coming up, it should feel as simple. So we've got arms up, eyes follow hands towards the front of the room, curl over, looking down to the mat, so you're rolling away from the barrel's edge. You can stay with your legs like that, or otherwise let's go into a diamond position. So soles of the feet touching, knees open, and then rolling down. What this does is it changes the orientation of the muscles around the front of the hip. Yes, of course, you're still going to be using some of your hip flexor muscles to draw your trunk over the front, but you're not going to dominate through the one main one that everyone likes to work, which is that quadricep muscle. So with the feet apart like this, or the knees apart like this, it makes it a lot more challenging for you to really focus on the rectus abdominis muscle, which is the six-pack that everybody loves to work with. From here, if you're happy, you can move on. We're going to slide those legs into a long position and then reaching all the way over. As I do with most of my movements, I always start with the most basic. That's really easy for us to achieve, and then moving into progressively more advanced movements. So it's up to you to feel how you are in your body today. So you could have stayed with your knees bent the whole series of this if you wanted to. All right, and then bringing yourself all the way back up into a nice seated shape. So we're going to go for another beautiful movement now as we spin ourselves around and face down again. So lying onto your back surface. From here, you're going to raise your hips up and just pull the arc underneath the back of the pelvis. For me, I'm holding onto the little pillars here. The main reason is I want my head, my shoulders, and my pelvis supported. My lower back is going to be away from the mat surface. Now, depending on your curve of your barrel, you might notice that your back is more in contact. But let's just try and keep it with the pelvis in contact where it is. Let's raise the legs towards the ceiling. You're going to point and flex your ankles, just for about 5 of them, and you may hear some cricks and cracks as they go, and then just doing some ankle circles. So I like to do this just for stimulation, obviously, of lymphatics, but also change your direction of your circle, but also just to get different movement and gravity releases through the feet. We're on them all the time, and we very rarely get to release them. So from here, we're going to scissor the legs. One goes back, one goes forward, and then we slice them past each other. So just a nice, easy movement. Now, if you didn't have a barrel and you really enjoyed looking at this series, you can do this on a foam roller, this leg series movement. I've lost count again, but we're going to take it into a bicycle. So your bicycle stride should be as beautiful as your scissors. So there's that moment where the legs unfold and fold on the opposite side, where you just want to find that moment of scissor and then change. We're going to change direction as you scoop in the opposite way. So this is not only good for your muscles, but also for your brain, because sometimes it's a little bit of a game to think, how on earth am I going to do that? And then bringing both legs back up towards the ceiling. Join your heels together, lower your legs down to a challenging point, and then bend the knees for frog and press out. So as we're doing that, again, head and shoulders are just staying rested onto the ground. There's no effort in the upper body. Everything is from ribs all the way down, really creating some strength through your torso and strength in through your legs. We'll go for one more time, pressing the legs away, join the feet together, and we're going to circle up and open around. Now, really check that your pelvis doesn't shift too much in this position. So you want to maintain that idea of your ribs and hips staying balanced with each other as you're making your circles open. We've got one more this way, and then you're going to change your direction around. So noticing again, is it smooth in both directions, or is one way a little easier to work out mentally or even physically in your body? We've got 2 more circles around, and then we're going to finish with our fancy. So from here, we're going to go into a split of the legs, and then you're going to circle each leg around until the opposite one is in the front, and then we scissor twice. 1, 2, and then you circle again, and you'll notice you're in your opposite direction, and scissor 1, 2, and circle out and wide, and circle, scissor 1, 2, and circle around, and we've got one more to go. Scissor, scissor, and circle open, and bringing it in. Let's bend those knees towards you. This is the best way to get out. Just collapse your knees in, slide the barrel away from you, and rest yourself over here. Take in a couple of breaths. You can keep your feet on the top of the arc, or you might even like to just rest the legs over the edge of the barrel. And as you breathe out, just noticing the shifts and changes that have happened in such a short amount of time as we've spent together here on the arc and with the mat. And to come away, always good to just roll easily off to the side, bringing yourself up. And I hope you enjoyed that and feel great from our little session today. Join me for another video coming up soon.